Maliseet, good morning. My name is Tim Nicholas and I'm from Tobic First Nation. And I want to tell you about two legends today. But before I do, I want to mention about our person that we looked up to, Glooscap. That's a mispronunciation because it should be Glooscap, which means a good man. Glooscap means a liar. But I think this wasn't done intentionally by the English and the French when they came over. They changed our people that we looked up to, or spirits that we looked up to, and they would change the name. The other one is Mundo. You hear Jimundo means devil, but out west they say Manitou, which means creator. So they changed Manitou to Mundo to mean a devil. So they go into our history and our language trying to belittle our culture, but I'm here to say that was done intentionally. The first story I'm going to tell you about is about Rabbit, Matagwas. He was a very good friend of Glooscap. He helped them, but after a while, when the earth was made and everything was in place, Matagwas got lazy. He didn't have the same energy. And one day he was walking down and he looked down and he saw an otter. The otter was sliding down in the riverbank and falling into the water and grabbing fish. And Rabbit thought to himself, hey, that's a good way to get fish, to get something in my belly. I'm going to try the same thing. So he tried, but because he has fur, he didn't slide. He had to push himself into the water. And when he got into the water, he forgot that he couldn't swim. So the otter had to help him out. And then when he got on shore, he said, well, I got to find another way to gather my food. So he was walking by a tree and he looked up. He heard a woodpecker using its head to pound into the tree to get its food, insects. And Matagwas said to himself, hey, that's a good way to get food. I'm going to try it. So he had trouble getting up the tree, and then he tried to imitate woodpecker by using its head to pound into the tree, but all it did was just made him dizzy and confused. In fact, so much that he fell quite a ways down. So he said to himself, no, that's not the way I'm going to get food. So he goes off again and he comes to a stream and he's watching a bear. The bear is right in the stream, doing this with its paw, and salmon would fall on the shore. So Matagwas said, well, I can do that, I think. So he tried it, and of course he failed. He failed because he didn't have the strength that the bear had. So that was a lesson for him that in life there's no shortcuts, and you have to find your way of doing things, what Creator gave you. The story I'm going to tell you about is about a brave Maliseet princess. Her name was Maliseet. For our people, the Maliseets, we had enemies that would try to come into our territories and try to take territory for themselves, and these were called the Mohawks. The Mohawks were a big, powerful nation, probably still are, but yeah, they came into our area, tried to take over our lands. Maliseet happened to be quite a ways away from our community. She was up there with her father, but while her father was gone, she looked upriver and she saw these canoes coming down, and she knew that it was Mohawks that were coming down, and she wasn't too sure. So eventually they came up to her and they told her, we need your input because we want to go down to your territory. And she said, I'll lead you there. That's not a problem. And so she got into the lead canoe, and it was getting towards twilight, and they were still going. And she knew that a little further ahead there was a great falls. So she started chanting and singing, trying to drown out the sound of the falls. And sure enough, it did work, because they couldn't react fast enough when they went around the bend, and there was the falls. Chigapskuk, it's called, Grand Falls. And she went over the falls as well as maybe about 80 Mohawk. And that way she saved her people from being attacked that day. So we think highly of Maliseet. Will you win?